Thank you. Okay, we are gathered here today to remember the victims of Citgo's crimes. On June 26, 2007, Citgo Refinery and Citgo Corporation became the first ever in the nation to be criminally convicted of violating what they said, among other things, that there were no releases into the environment. We want you to use your own common sense. The Chamber of Commerce released a newsletter rallying support for the criminals. No compassion for the impacted community. In fact, they said these are difficult times for Citgo and their employees. But what about the difficult times for the victims? The people that had to smell the pollution. Remember the victims of Citgo crimes. The way Citgo and the Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce were able to carry out the Citgo campaign was because many people were not in the courtroom every day to listen to the evidence. So that's why they took that and printed false information. For example, if you had been in court every day, you would have heard that Jean Salone, who was with us today, was woken up in her bed by smells that came from Citgo. The state attributed the smells to coming from the tanks. Does that show you that there was pollution involved?
Yeah!
Yes, there was pollution involved. Don't let Citgo stop you from using your own common sense. Also, what Citgo and the Chamber of Commerce neglected to tell you was that it was Citgo themselves that filed a motion to the court asking that no evidence be presented from the government that would talk about health effects. Again, Citgo themselves filed a motion saying that they did not want evidence entered into to prejudice the jury. Then Citgo turns around and says, this is not about health impacts. My goodness, use your own common sense. This is about pollution. Also, a document from the court's instructions says that the government was not required to prove pollution impact or adverse health effects. They weren't required to, and Citgo successfully stopped them from talking about health impacts. Yet Citgo twists the truth and makes it sound like it was not about health at all. This is about pollution. Yeah. Howard Stewart, the lead prosecutor for the United States, wrote a letter to the judge. But I have to read to you a part of it. It says, can you hold it up? It says, this is to the judge that presides over the trial. The emissions from these tanks were uncontrolled for more than 10 years and routinely engulfed the Hillcrest community and physically affected the citizens that lived there. The government introduced evidence at the trial that showed that 116 and 117 was reaching the community, and at least one TCQ inspector got sick themselves when they were responding to a call from a community member who was sick. This is about pollution. Don't let Citgo stop you from using your own common sense. And remember the victims of Citgo crimes. I'd like to introduce you to our next speaker. He's a national and international environmentalist, environmental justice activist, Mr. Denny Larson.
Great to see all of you out here today. We're right in front of blatant lies and Citgo would try to put a coat of paint on everything that they do when they pollute and kill and make it look pretty. But that's just not the case. The reality was introduced by the United States Department of Justice in the trial, and a trial of their peers. A jury found them guilty.
Right.
Yeah. And according to the jurors who were using their free speech rights after the trial, Citgo evaded the other charges on a vote of 10 against Citgo and 2 for. What does that tell you? They came damn close to being convicted on everything.
Woo!
Oh.
That's right, so they are guilty They need to stop lying about it. They need to fess up, clean up, relocate the people that have been dying to get out of Hillcrest for decades now. They need to put their money that they put in public relations, like full-page ads, into helping people. So, yesterday, our organization on the web launched an action alert and sent it out global, in which people can send an email to the chairman, to the CEO of Citgo, Albert Granado, and we put his picture up on our webpage. He's the 10 most wanted. So everybody go to that website, gcmonitor.org, tell your friends about it, and bombard these guys with emails and letters until they come clean and clean up their act. The next thing I have to do is a great honor, and that's to introduce the woman who filed a complaint with the TCQ. And I know a lot of you in the neighborhood are sick and tired of trying to call TCQ. Jean, come here. Stand by me. This woman in the middle of the night was sickened by fumes from those tanks. And she got on the phone and she called TCQ and said, I am sick. I am smelling this stuff. They sent an inspector. The inspector got sick. Okay? So keep calling and complaining. This is the woman who was the state's witness, the United States witness against Citgo. And you know what? This is the only witness that Citgo was afraid to cross-examine. When they asked Citgo, do you have any questions for Gene Salone? They said, no, Your Honor. At that point, they could have arrested the case because they were done. But at this point, let me introduce Jean to you, and she can tell you about her experience living next to Citgo and what she thinks we ought to do. Jean?
Guess what, neighbors? What? Citgo says this is not about pollution.
It is about pollution.
But what do you call when you are sound asleep and smell something so strong from tank 116 and 117, and it wakes you up when you're sound asleep in your own bed at home?
Speaker, Dr. Melissa Gerald, who is an expert in environmental crime. Melissa.
I've worked with Susie Canales for the past 2.5 years, and if this isn't about pollution, I don't know what it's about. A few weeks ago, the government held town hall meetings here in Hillcrest. Over 400 people showed up to talk about the health concerns that they have, about the people that are sick, that are dying here in Hillcrest. If this is not about pollution, I don't know what this is about. I do know that you are not alone. We can do this together if we stay loud. Today we get loud, and then we stay loud. We are going to make our presence known here repeatedly over the next few weeks.
Speaking right here.
Here he is.
How you guys doing? I'm Jonathan Anthony. Now, I'd like to have the rest of the students come with me. Will the youth? All the youth?
They help you in organizing for them.
We missing anybody? All right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We would just like to let the community know that we have been working on this for a while, but we have not been working on this as Texas A&M students, but as humans. And we would just like to let you know that today is the day that you take control of your community back. It is up to you guys to govern this community, not Citgo. So we would just like to let you guys know that we're going to back you up and that we are your future and we will protect you. Anybody else? One last thing I would like to do is I'd like to let Luke close our group with some radical sounds. You guys know.
This is the Citgo victims.
Yeah!